In the previous live streams, I wasn't able to get the Pokey's 57 CNC to connect with this computer. Let me get this one in view here. But I made a little bit of progress today. Thanks, yeah. All right, so let's see, the changes that I made were I removed all of the input lines from the controller. I didn't want that to be making any influence to the controller. I'm still not able to connect it to Mach 3, unfortunately. In the Pokey's program here, which is a way to connect to the controller through their program, it has the correct serial number, connect, and I have the X-axis cable connected to the X-axis driver, which is right here. So I'm going to go into the pulse engine and test the X-axis, because I have the X-axis plugged in. I can stop it. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and jog it. And I learned a little bit about the user interface. I'm not really familiar with this user interface because I never needed to use it, since these controllers have always worked with Mach 4 and Mach 3. But just to test it, I'm going to click on the plus, and I can hear it moving. So I'm going to show that. So it's moving fine. I'm not really sure why it doesn't want to connect to Mach 3, but I'm going to try Mach 4 because it was able to connect, but I didn't test the motion of the motor. So if it works in here, it should work in Mach 4. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. I'm going to end this one here, and I will start Mach 4 mil. Okay, so I'm going to put it in jogging mode. Keyboard inputs enable. All right, so that's green, so I can use my arrow keys to move it. I'm going to go ahead and enable, and I'm going to use the buttons for the X-axis. And it looks like it e-stopped due to limit switch. Let's try that again. All right, so I'm going to go to the plugins configuration for Pokey's, make sure that's okay. Yep, it's got the right serial number, 54130. I'm going to configure it, and I'm going to disable the inputs. So I'm going to disable all of these minus inputs. And now I shouldn't have any e-stop due to limit switch, so let's go ahead and enable. And it still says the e-stop due to limit switch, which is weird, but okay. So now it is working, but I can't work and I can't press the left arrow because it says jogging will violate the limits. So there may be some soft limits connected or set up. I'll just show you this. Try to get a good picture of it. Yeah, it didn't move because I think it went beyond its torque, so I need to, let me disable. I think the velocity and acceleration are too high. So I went into config, let me go show that again. Configure, control, and let's see, I went to motors. I'm going to select the motor 0, and I'll make the velocity, well, I'll change the acceleration to 5. I'll make the velocity to 100. The counts per unit is probably way off, so that's why it's trying to spin so fast. So let's try it again. The home switch of A is tripped. A. Why was it tripping? So this is A here, and everything is disabled. I'll disable this one just to, because it says shared with, so it should be disabled. And it's still not working. The MDI is not working either. Move off limit switch before exiting. That is really weird. Why would it say that? So plugins, let me, it's weird I have to toggle this, the keyboard inputs, to move the machine, to move the axis. So it looks like it's actually working well now. But I still can't go backwards, which is weird. Let me see if I can go in reverse in the Pokey's program. So I'm going to go back to the Pokey's, go to the pulse engine, and I'll test the jogging for the X-axis. Okay, it does go in reverse there. So there's something going on in the Mach 4 configuration. Let me go ahead and make sure it's going in both directions. It's going forward and back. That's good. So let's see if we can figure out what's going on in Mach 4. Okay, so let's go back to Mach 4. See if we can learn something. All right, let's just make sure that it still works. It still says home switch A, home tripped. Let's go back into the plugins for the Mach 4 or for the Pokeys, because I remember changing that to disable. Let's go to the pulse engine. Yeah, I changed it back to shared with limit. What is it sharing with limit? Let's see if I can widen this and get more information. Okay, shared with limit minus, which is this one right here, which is sometimes typical because you only have 2 limit switches on an axis, and you would share it with the limit minus. Not sure why I need to disable this. I could just invert it. All right, let's go to the jogging, make sure that's enabled. Okay, I can go both directions now. And it still seems to be very... You know what, I bet you I lost the... Actually, let's go check that out. I probably lost the configuration for the, what is it? The motor tuning. Let's see, motor 0. Nope, it's the same, that's weird. Let's change this to, because I'm not really sure what the... Let's just take a 0 out. 1,000 steps per revolution. All right, so let's enable again. Double click this one. That's better. Nope, it's still stalling. Hey CNC, how's it going? I'm making some progress. I had this impulse to start working on this again because I want to get this done, and I was still not able to work with Mach 3, but Mach 4 I am able to make the motor turn. Now I'm having some issues with limits, homing, and I'm not sure why they're being triggered. You can see home switch Z, home tripped, which is very odd, but I think it has to do with EMI actually. So let's go to the motors. I'm going to slow this one down, motor 0. Maybe it's because maybe I'm not hitting the apply. No. So I'm going to change this to 200. Enable. Okay, so that worked. All right. You see, it's stalling. It's trying to go too fast. It's probably because the dip switches for the driver is not set correctly. So I'm going to lower the, I know you can't see this, but I'm going to be lowering the motor down to, oh, look at that. The acceleration is 250. That's could be a reason. So let's go back to 5, and then velocity went to 5,000. I'm going to go down to 200. That's really strange. Why would it make that change? Enable. Okay, let's try it now. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I'm not really sure if it's EMI or not. It keeps saying that like some home switch is tripped. So I can only think that because it's disabled. I don't know why it would say that, but it says, let me show you. So you can see that it says here, the home, right on the bottom here, home switch Z, home tripped. So if I go to, let me disable first, configure plugins, it shows in the pulse engine, it shows that it's shared with the limit minus, except for the A, because I was getting that for A as well. So, so the Z is here. So if I disable this, then it'll work. So my only thought would be that for some reason it is getting some EMI to trip it. But it's actually, oh, I didn't show you this either. I also disconnected all of the inputs. My motors would do that too if I had the wrong settings on the driver. Okay, like the steps would overpower the motor. I had to check how hot my motors were getting. Yeah, these don't normally run hot, but to limit the running of the running hot, actually, there's a setting if you're in idle, because, you know, energy is used in various states like motion. You can also have heat. It can be expressed by light. But in this case, if it's not going anywhere, if the motor is just idling, the motor is still trying to hold torque. These are kind of hot, actually. So these may be set to a higher than normal amperage, but if there is a setting here that you can set, I think it's switch number 4, you can set the idle state to half current. So you don't have to worry about that getting too hot. And I may actually do that with this one because these are getting hot, and also the motor, let me feel it. It's warm, it's not really that hot. So that's kind of normal. This is a good reason why you'd want to have a fan inside of your cabinet. I mean, because the air needs to blow. These are warm. These are about as warm as the motors. They're not hot. They have a heat sink on the back, so it's dissipating, but it's definitely a good idea to put a fan in here. So that would be a note to the customer. Definitely get a fan in this one. There isn't any holes for a fan. You could probably use this one that's on the side here. That was previously used for the parallel port connection. It looks like it's big enough for one of the smaller fans. What if you set your home position to not be 0, just to see if it's not getting triggered, or maybe make the limits be slightly behind the home limit? Well, yeah, I don't have any limits actually set anyway, so that is an idea for a machine that is put together already. I'm having the limit behind the home, because the limit really is for if the machine is going to crash, and the home is definitely going to be something that needs to be before the limit. I'll need to put a fan in my case. It's a tight fit in the CNC controller right now. Yeah, well, it's for these. I mean, if you have a lot of current going through, I would definitely recommend that. All right, so let's see, what was I doing? Oh yeah, actually it was cleared, e-stop cleared. That's weird. All right, so I'm going to, I think I already did this. Yeah, I disabled it. Okay, so press OK. Let's see if another one pops up. Let's enable, and for some reason, this is the keyboard inputs disable and enable. I was looking for that yesterday. I don't know why I didn't find it. It was right in front of my eyes. So it is running nice and smooth. There's nothing that is showing up in the history. You know what? I'm going to put it back to the motor tuning to be really high and see if that stall causes some weird limit issue on one of the axes. I got to change my SD card. All right, next, SD card. By the way, am I coming in at a good volume? The drivers are 6 AM amp, I'm guessing, amp. NEMA 34 hybrid stepper motor for my CNC. Yeah, that's normal. That's actually a standard driver. You're probably looking at a driver like, let me see if I can find one. You're probably talking about a driver like this, the 860. These are like the run-of-the-mill drivers. And they're really good drivers, by the way. Some of them, like the ones that I have on my machine, they have a fan right here, built in. See if I can show it. They would have a fan right here. Those are generally for the closed loop, which I have on my machine right now, is the closed loop drivers. All right, so motor 0. I'm going to up the acceleration. I'm going to go back to, it was 200 or 250 last time. That's extremely high, and 5,000 velocity. This will definitely cause a stall. It says now home Y. Okay, that's weird. So I didn't do anything, and it said it was tripped, so it's definitely not that. Home switch Y, home tripped. I'm still using the USB as its power, so I'm going to go back to using I need to do that anyway. So I want to go back to powering it from the external. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to power it off. It could be because I have the external power not being used. The inputs may be using that external power as a way to also shield itself or provide more power to that to those inputs. So let's see if that works. I'm going to disconnect the USB. And while I do this, I want to, because I'm showing the Pokeys kind of in a bad light. I don't want to do that because this is a really good card. I want to share a story about the Pokeys that I did back in, I think, 2016 or so. I sold one of these boards to Lockheed Martin, and I was fortunate enough to be involved in one of their projects because they wanted help from the outside. And it's funny, I didn't have to sign an NDA, so I can talk about it, but I don't talk about it, the specifics of the project, but I can the Pokeys. You can program in C# or C++ and interface with this board. It's incredible what you can do with this board. They've thought of everything. So I was writing a program for them in C# to move the machine, and I shared them I gave them the program so they could use it in their production, and they can modify the program however they need, but they needed that help to just get that start. Hopefully there won't be any tape residue on this. It's going to cause a problem. So I recommend this controller very highly, and you have the ability to have 8 motors on this thing. It's incredible. 8 axes actually. Okay, for anybody that's going to watch this stream after this is over, yes, use wire ferrules. I don't do it this time because the customer didn't ask me to do it. This would be a note to the customer to use wire ferrules, but that is a very contentious. Some people say that you should never use wire ferrules. All right. Does the console readout show more than just one error at a time? Say if you solve one problem, there is a stack of issues and you're only seeing the top of the stack. I could go to the history and check that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the external power might help the sensors to overcome power to noise. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. 16-year C# programmer here. Wow. We should definitely talk. That's my entire website is made in C# and JavaScript and HTML and CSS. All right. So let's, I still have to change the jumper for external power. All right, let's go ahead and start it up. I'm going to go ahead and use the other USB port. I was using this before and I wanted to change just to see if it made any difference, but it didn't. All right, let's try it. Oh, I've got to plug it in. Wait, I just want to make sure that I have that in the right orientation. I'm going to go back to my website because it has a pretty clear description of that. Plus on this side and ground on the bottom. So plus is towards the relays. Oh, and by the way, let's see. This is a pretty cool controller too by the same company, by Polabs. It has an integrated Pokey's 57 CNC, but it's all on the same PCB. And it has these motor connections. This is the driver and the motor. So it's very similar to the controller that I showed last night. Because this, I implemented this controller, but I also added a driver. You can see those really big traces there that I designed for the amp load from the driver, because this side of the driver is the motor connections. So you can see that you have the A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus, or A plus, A minus, B minus, B plus. So, and this controller also has a ground right in the middle. See if you can see that. You see the ground? That is for shielding. So they've thought of everything here. That's really, really nice detail that you have the shield right in the middle of the two coils to shield your wire. The controller, I don't know what it costs. I'm about to put it on the website to sell. But I'm working with CNC for PC. I don't know if you know them. They're a really good company. I've been working with them probably since I've been around. So they're about as old as I am, their company. And we've worked together quite a bit. It's, you know, it's probably weird to hear that I talk about my competitors, but all of these people are my friends. Everybody, even like Avid CNC, I don't have any problem like talking about them. They have great machines. All right, we're all good people. Okay, so external power is added in the correct way. The red is next to the relays. Let's plug it in. Hope it doesn't blow up. Connection reestablished. That's interesting. I like that. It says that on the bottom. I'll go into the history too just to see what it says, but let's first move it. You know what? Did I change the values back? Let's go back to configure disable. And I'm not getting anything on the triggering, so that's good. I mean, it could be too early to tell. So let's go to motor 0. Yeah, let's bring this back down to 200 and bring this back down to 5. I generally put 20 for acceleration, but when I'm testing, I want to use 5 just so I know that I'm not going to be stalling it all the time. Yes, you don't know CNC for PC? Yeah, they've been around a long time. They sell pretty much every controller you can think of. All right, so my large CNC is based loosely off of Avid's, yeah, except it uses ball screws rather than rack and pinion. That's a really, really good implementation. I'm using larger extrusions too. That's good. Yeah, I'm working with a customer, and I'm helping him take a legacy machine, which is rack and pinion, and I'm helping him convert it to ball. All right, so I'm going to go back to the motor so you can see the movement. Oh, it says home switch Y tripped. So okay, that's good. Why is it doing that? I am going to move the controller out of this. It's funny, this is kind of hot. Generally these power supplies don't get hot, but it's not cool, but it's north of cool. Yeah, I'm going to move it completely away. Fortunately, these cables are long enough. I can probably do that. But here, check it out. Home switch Y tripped. Let's see what happens if all right, so home switch Y, home switch X tripped too. These are the only ones that I'm, yeah, before I disabled them. So if I disable, I'm going to clear that, close. So if I can go to the plugins, Pokey. Oh, let me move the controller away. Let's do that first. That makes more sense. All right. I also have some questions to ask. What camera do you use when you do your videos? All right, let's see how far this goes. Probably go a little bit farther, hanging off the edge here. All right, so let's try it again. Connection reestablished. All right, let's go ahead and toggle this jog button. Enable. Okay. I'm going to go back to the configuration I had before, where I had them not disabled. So far, nothing is tripped. So I disabled these two because they were kind of annoying. All right, shared with limit minus, shared with limit minus. Apply, okay, okay. All right, still don't have any issues with the home. Let me try moving it. Yep, still working. Still don't have any tripped switches. I use 3 different main cameras. A Blackmagic, oh my God. Now you're flexing. Ursa Mini Pro 4.6K as my A camera. If I'm on set, a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K G2 as my B camera. And for close-in shots, a Canon M50 Mark II. As my podcast talking head camera, I use an iPhone as my overhead shot. Interesting. Yeah, my Sony, yeah, I think I said this yesterday, my Sony only records for 28 minutes, and I need to figure out what's going on. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear it. So still don't have any issues. Should I start adding more axes? I'm going to do that. He's probably going to have to rearrange a lot of stuff in this cabinet if this shielding is an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the Y and Z. I'm going to add the Z first because that's right next to the, that's already plugged in and I don't have the Y plugged in, so I'll do one at a time. Red is on the right. Okay, don't move, Junior Mints. All right, let's try it again. Enable, toggle the keyboard input, and it's moving. Still don't have any triggered axes, so I think we know what the problem was, for that at least. Yeah, to get past the 29-minute record issue, I recommend getting a dedicated external video recorder and just use the camera clean feed video out. This way the camera is not recording. So to overcome the EMI, do you just pull up some shielding around the controller? What would you recommend? First, I would recommend reconfiguring the entire cabinet, moving everything around. I like to make these as short as possible because they don't have any shielding by themselves. If you want more shielding, you'd have to actually wrap these with some kind of foil, or you could cut these really short and use shielded cable from here to the driver and take that shield and bring it to ground. And there's you can also take it to V-, but I don't recommend that. I've done it in the past and it's fine, but it's better to take it, like, just send it right to the body of the cabinet. And these wires, like, sticking out here like this, I would take all of these wires, bring it all the way back, because these are antenna. These serve as like EMI antennas. So that's the first thing that I would do is just take these all the way back to the connector. But these definitely need to be really, really short. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm gonna plug in the Y, so I'll test that next. I thought your camera may be overheating from constant recording, but this is way over my head. Yeah, I saw it online that there's for some reason it's a 28-minute issue, and there's a software out there that eliminates that, but it's off. I think I said that in the last stream. All right. So yeah, the video feed is a good idea. Maybe I can also try connecting it via HDMI. All right, let's plug in the Y. I'm going to go ahead and plug in this driver. This one is already plugged in. This one is the one that I think is connected. I may have to test that first. Get my multimeter out. So this is the cable that's not cut. And that's the red. Nope. Yes, okay, so it's this one here. All right, so it's the one on the right. So I'll go ahead and take that connector, use the longer one. Plug this red to the right. It's actually one way. It can't. These are idiot proof, so it's good for me. All right, let's start it up. Did I forget anything? No. Okay, let's start it up. Do you think the camera should be far away so you can see everything while I'm doing this instead of just the screen? Yeah, you want to see what's going to happen with the trip. That's what we're working on right now. 29:59 second limit for older DLSRs. Some newer ones can overcome this. Well, I'll just start. I'll pull it back in a second. Enable. See if it works before I do this. Yeah, it does. So we still don't have a problem with the tripping. You know, if this happened to, gotta change my memory card. Actually, no, I don't. See, it stopped at that moment. I had to go and click on the record button again. All right, yeah, no errors. So I'm thinking let's move the controller back to its location and see what happens. And see if we get limits. All right, I'm gonna unplug everything just in case. So I kind of want to test a few conditions, like where the case. Maybe I'll take the ribbon cable. Oh, look at this. There is a standoff here. And there are standoffs here. Okay, so I didn't even see this. Maybe I should go ahead and just put it in. What do you think? Should I mount it? Let's try it right here first. See, these wires are everywhere. This has to be the reason. And then we have this, like, wires going to nowhere. Oh, and also, I talked about this in the beginning, that the controller should be using another external power supply. I'm pretty sure that I would want to do that, or I would want the customer to do that, to add another power supply just for the controller. So I'm wondering if the power supply could also be causing a problem. Moving it did potentially help the issue. I don't know if it is an actual solution, because more testing would need to be done. I'm just going to hide these wires down here for a moment. This is an AC line right here, both together. Not sure if that would be causing a problem. All right, so this, I don't like that. Yeah, that's good. Not going to touch anything. Yeah, separating the power is a good idea. The DDCS recommend that too. It's weird that you have two power supplies on the same controller. I'm sure you've noticed that. All right, let me put this in a way that you can see what I'm doing. For my CNC, I have a power supply for each driver and the controller. I do that for all of my new builds. I always have a separate power supply for each driver, but also a lot of the builds that I do are closed loop. And the closed loop, if you buy a set from China, they actually come with three power supplies. The old systems, they would use a huge, heavy toroid power supply, a linear power supply. But I don't know, those things are really heavy, and I think it's unnecessary to do that. All right, I'm going to plug it in. Doing these streams every day, I'm feeling a little bit more loose and more confident, a little bit less nervous. All right, so let's see if we get an issue with the home. So far, it's good. Connection with the device lost. I think I need to. Oh wait, I don't have it plugged in. Connection reestablished. Okay, it's working. I'm not getting any trips anymore. Any tripping of the limits. All right, let's try. Wait, I haven't plugged that in yet. I knew I forgot something. I'm gonna let the power dissipate because this is a motor connection, and I don't want to have any problems. I'll wait probably for about 20 seconds for that. And it was laying down before, and this cable was going through this hole, and I had this just kind of floating. The power, the black and white, the live and neutral power just floating back here. I don't know if that would have caused a problem, but still haven't gotten any issues. Although it says, oh yeah, I just turned it off. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and plug it back in. Oh wait, I have to plug in the motor. Okay. Let's try the Y. Plug it back in. Enable. The X is working. The Y it's working, but it's getting stalled. So I'm going to disable, configure, control, motors, and the Y axis needs to go down. Oh, its velocity is 200, but the counts per unit is 10,000. So I'm going to bring that down to 1,000. All right, so that should fix that. Y, look. It says home, switch Y, home tripped. Still. I'm going to go back to control, and I'm going to reduce the, let me see if that actually took the change. Yeah. I'm going to change the acceleration to 5, because it was 200 before. Why did that look like it was inverted? Motors, motor 1, 2,000, 200. Okay. So the velocity was at 2,000. That's why it wasn't working also. Okay, now it's working fine. You can see it's turning. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the controller back out and see if the EMI will resolve itself. I feel like I shouldn't move it with the power on. I feel like I should have an MDI. Uh-oh. That would have been bad. Stay. All right. Okay, I'm going to clear the history. The Y motor still moves. Okay, that's fine. The X, that works. And the Z, oh, that's going to be messed up too. So let's configure that one. I don't want that one to be moving fast either, because it's in its mechanical configuration. It's not free. 200. Okay, so let's go to 1,000. Apply, and let's see if these velocities change. Let's go back in, because maybe that does something when I change the steps per. If you get zapped, I'll continue the stream and call EMS. Maybe that's why I should be doing streaming all the time. It's great to see progress though. Troubleshooting this stuff is great for me. I'm learning a lot. Awesome. All right, plug in motors, Z-axis. It went to 2,000. So that's when you make a change to the counts per unit, maybe it tries to adjust the velocities to compensate. Apply that. I don't want 200. That's too high for I'm going to go 40 for the Z-axis because it doesn't have that much of a travel. Enable. Let's try it again. Y home, it's still tripped. Okay, it's working. Yeah, Z is going slow now. Yeah, why is it tripping? Let me clear the history. Maybe it's me changing configuration? No. Look at all that. X home tripped, Y home tripped, E stop cleared, home switch X tripped, home switch Y tripped. Clear it. Let's try it again. Could it have been the higher velocities? I don't know. This cat is standing or sitting right where I'm standing. This is the situation. All right. Still no tripping. Let's go back to configure and go higher on the acceleration and velocity for the Y. I'm not going to go 2,000. I'll try like maybe 1,000, but I'll do 5 for acceleration. We can also see where it stalls, so we can set the velocity half that amount. That's what I generally do. Enable. It says home switch Y tripped. Only when I change in the control. Home switch X tripped, home switch Y tripped. But it seems to do that when I access the control. Okay, it is going at 500 and around 550 feed rate, inches per minute. Yeah, I think it's me actually accessing the controls. I don't know what is going on there. All right, I'm going to go in a higher velocity. I'm kind of curious to see where it stalls on velocity. I have it at 1,000. That's weird. It didn't get up to that. I may have it set. Oh, no, feed rate is at 100%. Oh, let me set it to 5,000. It should climb up. Yep, home switch Y home tripped. It only does it when I click on the control. Okay, at 700 it stalls. Yeah, 730. Yeah, well, I don't know if there's any feed rate limits, but that's something I can check. But right here it says feed rate at 100%, but it definitely stopped at, or the motor stopped at 700. It could be, oh, I know what it could be. It could be the number of steps that this controller will handle, but I don't think that's it. It generally would tell you that in the motors. Actually, you know what? I'm going to clear the history. Let's show this on camera. I don't know if it's a software bug or not. That's interesting. Or it could be conflicting with the home switches in the configuration for the Mach 4, but not in the... Let's look at that. All right, first I want to... Actually, no, I want to clear it first, just to see. History, clear. All right, now I'm going to go to configure, click. I'm going to go to control, click. Still nothing in history. Go to motors, click. Go to motor 1, click. Change that back down to 500, actually 350, because that's half of 700. Apply, okay. Yeah, home switch Y home tripped. Okay, so let's take a look and see if we can find something in configure that has something to do with the limit switches. All right, home and soft limits, access mapping, input signals. So we could do this. We can disable, it's supposed to be using the inputs. So I'm going to disable this. I don't need these anyway for the, this is from 0 to 7. It's weird that these were erased. This definitely needs to be Pokey's, wait, what does that whole thing say? Okay, PE. All right, so let's change this, go back to PE because it needs to be put in there so the customer can use them. And then dedicated limit minus, I want to see what else that says. The dedicated limit minus input 2. There should be dedicated minus input 3, dedicated minus input 4, apply, and okay, so they're all disabled. So, but I want to keep these in here so the customer can use them. Press OK, enable, history, let's clear this. Let's go back into control. I'm going to disable this. Control, press OK, e-stop cleared. Okay, so it didn't have an issue with the limits now, so that's good. All right, we're learning something. Let me see if I can do something here with the camera so I can just use the arm and just swing the arm around wherever I need it. All right, so you can see the Z-axis pretty well, I guess. All right, I'm going to try the Z-axis, function, page up, still working, still no trips. So it looks like I am okay to mount the controller inside the box. I guess that would be the next step. All right, I'm going to unplug everything and mount the controller. Still, I still believe that there could be an issue with EMI because of the way the wires are run. But I'm learning about EMI every day, and I'm learning about it from comments on my viewers on my shielding video, which was a debacle. All right, so let's go ahead, and it looks like this one broke off. Let me show you that. That standoff right here, the standoff that was on the controller was right here, and you can see that there's plastic. There's plastic right here. So that broke off, that standoff, probably through shipping. It's amazing. It's good that the computer didn't get damaged in any way. Is this the right? It doesn't look like it's. Oh, this was probably from a previous. Yeah, it's from a previous controller. That's why he didn't do it, and he only had one connected. All right, I'm not gonna put it in there then, because he doesn't want me to. That would mean a lot of modification to this, and I probably wouldn't put it here anyway. What I would do, this would be a good thing for the customer to, or at least understand my recommendation, whether it's good or not. But what I would do is I would probably take this this power supply, I would move it back here. I would take a lot of these wires here. I would probably change the location of this input, wiring input. I would probably go to another location, maybe to the back here, closer to the power supply. If the power supply is moved back here, move all of these wires back here. So if you need to shield, you can, by adding a shield this is already shielded, because this is connected, this body is connected to the body of the cabinet. So you can take that back, bring all these wires back here, run the power wires behind, and run them to these drivers. This one, it's kind of in an unfortunate location, because I would have these wires here, the ones for the motors, I would have them probably farther away from the controller. It's unfortunate that the inputs are right in line with the motor wires, the motor cables, because they're in parallel, which is not a good configuration for very delicate signals to be. So these I would also separate into another conduit, and would probably put them as far away as possible, but definitely don't put them in parallel with these motor cables. Well, I ordered a server once, and the delivery guy left a 2U server laying halfway out of the box on my back deck and just ran. Oh, Jesus. Oh, man. He must have been a Gen Xer. So run the power behind the power supply and have the data lines as far away from the power lines. Yeah, I think it's more, the power I don't think is as problematic as motor cables, because motor cables are connected to a very close motor winding, and the motor windings are what causes a lot of the EMI. It's electromotive force, EMF. Even though the AC line is created through a turbine, from a distance, I don't know enough about the AC, but I haven't seen, in my experience, any problems with having power next to delicate signals, but still move them away. I don't like to have signal wires and power wires close to each other at all, even if it's DC. I would rather just have them away. AC would be more problematic, I would assume, because I have no experience with it. I would assume that I would have more problems with the DC. And when I say I have no experience testing with an oscilloscope the signals next to AC power, which I will do in a future video, because I want to continue with my shielding videos. So to review, move the power supply farther back here, add another power supply for the controller, probably just a little small power supply. See if I can get one and show you. These little power supplies work really well for just controllers, and I use these all the time in all of my electronics. If you, anybody that's watching this that has more experience, let me know if that's fine. I don't profess to be the most knowledgeable person in CNC. All right, so Let's see here. So I'm going to go ahead and do some more testing inside, but I also want to continue. I want to put the limit switch wires back in and reinstall them so I can test those, or at least I can make sure that they're not going to be tripping any limits. The driver's name is Pokey's 57 CNC. No, Bob, I haven't done any STM stuff on this video. I'm just working on a customer's CNC electronics, and I was failing quite a bit in this attempt to try to make it work. But I've solved, I would say, probably 70% of the problems that I was having. But I will be doing STM microcontroller videos in stream for the foreseeable future. I will probably take the stream videos and I'm going to be doing supercuts for the regular channel, but I will be doing live streams for the STM. And the live streams are going to be interesting with the STM because I apologize for the dogs if you can hear them, because I'm also going to show how to control CNC stuff with microcontrollers. It's going to be very simple, like just making a motor move and stuff like that, so you can use that as a base. But I'm also going to be getting into me doing a microcontroller experiment on my own, saving that on video but not posting it, and then I'm going to do the same one on stream, and I'm going to allow the chat, if I get enough chats, I'm going to have the chat actually steer me towards getting that solution resolved or the project completed. And in the real video, I will publish my attempt at the project, my hopefully successful attempt, and then the chat's attempt, and I'll have those sort of one after another to see how those differ. So I think that would be kind of an interesting project, or an interesting thing to show, because I do get a lot of comments on my previous videos where the viewer tells me how I should have done it, and it's nice to see other programmers and other electronic enthusiasts or even engineers would resolve the same problems. Oh, that's nice, Bob. Great. So are you the one that I probably just sent that one not too long ago? Thank you. Let me know how it works, how well you fare in that. All right, let's see. Man, remember Mr. LCD? Oh my God, that brings me back. Learned a lot from those old videos. You can find any advanced content these days. Everyone just uses libraries. Yeah, don't use libraries. I don't like libraries. Make your own libraries, or use the HAL libraries and forget about Arduino. I mean, you can't get any easier than HAL, and even with register level stuff, it's still really easy. All right, now back to the CNC stuff. Yeah, I mean, if there are libraries, obviously, like if you get into advanced things, like matrix mathematics, linear algebra, stuff for AI, stuff for machine learning, even advanced other maths, that's probably the best thing to do is find a good library made by a mathematician. But when it comes to just making the microcontroller do something, it's really just initializing the pins and then either reading from them or controlling them. That's all it is. There's nothing harder than that. Let's see. As a programmer, nothing is more satisfying as making it yourself from scratch. That is so true. And every time I make a video, and I haven't made them in a while, I get this dopamine rush after the video is done and I've completed the project. It's amazing. Do you recommend using HAL library or register level? I use register level. I don't think it's any harder than using the HAL libraries, but if you want multiple chips to be compatible with the Create, like if you want to have a project but you don't want to be limited to the chip that you're using, use a HAL library, because the library it's somewhat agnostic to hardware. You don't have to worry about the hardware, because it's a hardware abstraction. That's what HAL stands for. It's hardware abstract. All right, so let me get back to this. So I'm going to put the inputs back into and I'm not really sure which one was which. So let me go ahead and just put it in the way. You know, I'm going to put a wire hanging out. I'm going to put a wire, what do you call them? A wire nut? See if you can see this. All right. By the way, Mr. CNC, Mr. LCD is a, when I used to teach microcontroller programming back in, I think it was 2008 or 2009, I made a bunch of videos for the AVR, and the explanation I was giving was a person inside of the microcontroller controlling a big switchboard, a big set of switches, and that's how I would teach register level programming. Okay, so these wires here, there's one that's just kind of hanging off, and I don't like that. So I think I want to put a wire nut here. I got to find my wire nuts. Where are my wire nuts? Probably somewhere in one of those. Let's see if I can find it. I'll just use my, can't get in because I need a VPN. All right, let me go look for a wire nut. I got wire butt connectors. Oh, here you are. Here we are, wire nut. All right, which one do you think I should use? This one, maybe the smaller one? I think the bigger one. And this is really just for temporary. I will advise the customer to lengthen these wires and lengthen these and solder these together, or look at this, it's not even connected. Maybe that's why. Let me see. Okay, it's just a short wire. I'm not sure why it was there. All right, well, that's easy. Okay, that's good. All right. Let's see, questions. Yeah, that rush is probably what rock climbers and race car drivers feel. Us programmers are just adrenaline junkies in a desk chair. Yeah, cool. Yeah, definitely watch them. They're fun to watch. If you're a C# programmer, it'll be C++ or C. So it may be somewhat foreign, but it's understandable. If you fall off the ladder, I will continue the stream and call EMS. Thank you very much, CNC. It's good to have some eyes. That in itself is a reason to stream, right? All right. What am I doing? Yes, connecting those. Where is my screwdriver? This is my screwdriver for those tiny little screws. So this is, oh, that's what it was. This was the ground connection. Oh, God. To the controller. Okay, that's back on. I'll bring my phone next to me. Oh, cool. Yeah, see the CNC Plus. If you have that experience, that's definitely a plus. All right. These might be a little bit big to fit in these little tiny terminals, but they still work. AC busted today. So once you screw these in, give it a nice little tug. That wasn't very secure. Okay, that's good. Let's see, does it come out? No. Good. All right, so this is the x-axis. So we should, I guess, figure out which one is the x over here somewhere. But I have no way of knowing which of these are the x and y and z. So unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to put them into terminals so they're at least secure. And I will let the customer know just to maneuver these to reflect which wire that's going to be. See, I have no idea what IGF programs are, so I would learn from you too. CNC, you've been helping me quite a bit, so I really appreciate it. Every time you get on the stream, I become more confident. So just because of that, I appreciate it. This is a very tight area here. I don't have the hands of Joey or the steadiness. Joey does tech. If anybody wants to watch good videos, go watch his. Okay, so that's one. I don't like that. That's not good. All right, two more. It would be good to label these to know where they should go. Oh, and another, if I would make a shout out, another good YouTuber is Phil's Lab. I would for sure watch his stuff. He is a true electronics engineer, but he also does STM stuff and he programs too. So he's got the circuitry stuff. It's amazing what he does with the circuits, grounding, everything. So if you're interested in circuit building for electronics, I'm an amateur. He's an absolute genius. All right, so that's 4 wires. Those are all. So I'm going to make sure that it still runs and I'm not getting any tripping of any wires. All right, so let's go back, read some comments. How's that? Good? Uh-oh, okay. I thought my computer froze for a moment. Okay. I will have to do a live stream and put you on it. I have so many questions about setting up my controller software. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna, in the email, I'll give you my phone number so you can text me when you're doing it. Mr. Carlson's Lab is an awesome channel too for RF related content. Cool. Yeah, by the way, in stream comments, I don't mind you plugging anybody out there. I want my channel to be something that helps everybody, not to promote myself, because I'm essentially retired. I don't really care if I'm promoting myself. All right, or trying to retire. Okay, so this is good. I'll plug in the USB cable. Also, this controller can do Ethernet. So if you want to use Ethernet, it has Ethernet as well, capability. Okay, let me plug it in. No explosions, good. Hey Jose, welcome aboard. All right, so let me enable. I'm gonna just test the motors to make sure they're going to spin. Okay, they spin still, that's good. Okay, that was the Y. I don't know if you saw that, the Y axis. Okay, and I'll try the X axis, that's working. The Z axis, that's working. All right, no, I'm not repairing that. The customer said he'll repair that. I could, just for the sake of, well, we've already tried both drivers last time, so we know both drivers work. So what we could do is we could try the other motor that he sent me. So just to make sure that works, that would be a good idea. So I'm glad you brought that up. Let me unplug it. What would I do without chat? I didn't get killed. All right, yes, unplugging. Give myself 20 minutes or 20 seconds. I'll read chat while that happens. Smiley face. All right, good. All right, so what else? I should probably check the inputs, shouldn't I? An easy way to check inputs would be just to sort of provide just a wire between the ground and one of these connections here. So I'm going to do that and play with the configuration, because Mach 4, I'm very rusty. I don't have that much knowledge in it, so I'll be going on an exploration to see how to do that with the inputs and see what works. All right, I can plug it in now. The other motor. What am I doing? Now I forgot which motor I was using. Okay, so get that away from the wire. I think that was the other motor. All right, plug it back in. Enable Y-axis. Still works. So his other Y-axis motor spins. This is great though, as you learn, we do too. I much prefer watching someone troubleshoot and work the problem than watch someone go straight to the solution. Yeah. The delay in what? In the motor, or in when I press the keys between shutting the board? Oh, I'm changing. That's a good question. I'm changing the connection between, or a motor connection, which if it was on, obviously that would cause an arc, and it would essentially render these connections useless. It would just burn the connections. But with that understood, I want to make sure that all of the energy is dissipated from all the capacitors in the power supply, to make sure that I'm not going to cause the same problem by disconnecting it while it's still energized. So these power supplies, they all will have bleed resistors to dissipate the capacitors inside of the power supply. So the bleed resistors takes time to bleed the energy out of the capacitor. So I wait 20 seconds. You could probably do it after 5 seconds, but I just like to be sure. Got to change my memory card. All right. So let's go ahead and test or see if I can figure out the inputs on this. In Mach 3, it's a lot easier. Mach 4, I don't have any experience in it. I do, but it's been a long time. Let me see if I can get a better angle so I can actually get in here. All right. Having a dedicated video recorder will help avoid memory card swapping. Yeah, I know. I wanted to just take the feed, like you said before. Just take the feed from the camera and just use that. The problem that I've seen is when I get a lot of noise in the feed when it's not in recording state for some reason. But yes, adding something, maybe HDMI cable as well. I don't know. I'll have to check some things out, or we can talk maybe offline, or maybe I can do a stream while I'm repairing that or figuring that stuff out. Because I'm sure it could maybe help other people. I'm sure there's probably a million videos out there already though. Okay, what was I doing? I'm going to go to control, and if let's see, let's go ahead and do the input signals first. So I'm going to enable just the 3, and these are the home. So I want to make sure that the home is going to be in the pulse engine. I want the homes to be enabled with the, we're probably going to see that home tripped. Okay, so there's probably going to be all of them, all 3 of them. Yeah, X, Y, and Z are tripped. So I'm going to clear that, and I'm going to set up the plugins, the pulse engine for Pokeys, configure, and on the pulse engine I have the home shared with limit. So it did change this. This is interesting. So it did work. That's good to know. So when you make a change in the control for Mach 4, it actually makes the change here. Unless I already had that from before. I'll have to go back in the video and see if I did. So I'm going to, wait, you know what? Hold on a second. Let me see. There should be a place where I can see it actually light up or not. Let's go ahead and, I'm going to try to connect one to ground and see what happens. Before I do that, I will look at the comments. Having a dedicated video recorder tool, yeah, we saw that. Absolutely, we can chat offline. Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect. I'm going to short the ground and one of these and see if I get anything changing on the screen. Because in Mach 3, you can actually see what is changing right here, but maybe I have to go to another screen for that. Let me just go ahead and apply this and see if I can find, no. Okay, so maybe I can see that in a diagnostic screen. Okay, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. So I want to see if I'm tripping anything in here. So if I short it, it should show up. I don't know if I have to enable it or not though, so I don't think I should be able to, or should have to. Let me see what happens if I'm able to access that. Diagnostic. Yes, I can still look at it. Okay, so let me go ahead and short that. Get a piece of wire. All right, I'm going to put this really close to the screen so I can actually see it on my bigger monitor, see what's going on. All right, connecting it to ground. Nothing. Okay, so I have something set incorrectly. Okay, let me look at settings here. So is there a place to enable it in? For the limit switches, I recommend using proximity switches. Those generally are, when steel comes close to it, it'll engage. You can also use Hall effect sensors with magnetics. The problem with mechanical switches are there's bouncing involved because it's the mechanical nature. When it hits, it's bouncing a little bit when it hits the plate, but it does that almost imperceptibly, and you can change debounce settings in Mach. I do have quite a bit of information on debouncing in my microcontroller videos as well. All right, so I want to go to the pulse engine page. These are inverting, so I don't want to do that. Oh wait, this is incorrect. It's external dedicated because those, I think, let me go check on the page, see what those are actually connected to. So those are the axis limit plus. These are the limit pluses. So we need to share it with limit plus if we want to use these. If you want to use the home, you have to use this cable. So note to customer, if you want to use the home switches, dedicated external, and the limit minus, you have to use this. If you want to use the limit plus, I'll set it up as a home sharing with limit plus, just so you can use the home and a single limit switch to do that. But if you want to do it as a traditional CNC setup, you'd want to use these instead as the limit minus and home, or just to use the limit minus and then have home shared with the limit minus. All right, so let's make this shared with limit plus. Let me make sure that's the right one. So let's try that and see what happens. Let's go back to the diagnostic, enable. Okay, so now let's see what happens when we short them. Where's my little wire? Here it is. Oh wait, yeah, I want to see what it says. So I'm going to short the first one. Nothing. I got nothing. 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 Let me just get out of here and see if anything trips in my history. Nothing. All right. Somewhere in the configuration is not correct. Discovery plus. All right. What was I doing? I don't know if they're normally open or normally closed. I usually just press the invert if it. Right now they're open, so I would assume if it's working correctly, and it would be normally open at this point. I recommend making them normally closed, but that would be for the customer to configure. But yeah, normally closed is the safe way. That is a fail safe. So when it fails, it is a safe condition or safe state. All right, so what am I doing here? Let's see if we have everything configured correctly, or if it maybe reverted or something. Enable out, limit, everything looks good here. Everything looks fine here. All right, let's go to the control and the inputs. Maybe I have to do the homing soft limits. Maybe that has to, because we are actually doing homing. You know what, I could, because those are limit plus, let's go the easy route. Change them to the limit plus. Dedicated limit minus, that's the problem. All right, let's go to dedicated limit plus. I gotta see which one this is. I never make them wide enough. Okay, input number 1, limit plus. 1, limit plus. I think it should have still showed it in the diagnostic though. Dedicated limit plus for input number 3. And they're all enabled. They are active low, which means, oh God, I always get confused. Active low is at a 0 volts. Yes, so when they're connected, when it's connected to ground, it becomes active. So that's an active low. Right now it's at a high state. Okay, so normally open. If you change this, it would be normally closed because it's using the ground as a loop, the circuit loop. Let's go ahead and enable and see. Oh, look at that, home switch Z tripped. Let's see if I can trip it. I'm gonna go ahead and clear this, close. And let's see if I can trip it just by using that wire. If I can see where the wire is. Yeah, there it is. I always lose my wire. All right, I'm gonna trip the first, and it didn't trip. I may not be getting a good connection. Nothing tripped. Okay, home switch Y. So I did hit the Y. Maybe it was just a bad connection. So it did work. Let me go to the diagnostic and let's look at it and see if we can see the actual tripping of the. Oh, look at that. There's a little number here. I wonder what that means. Nothing. That's weird. It's not showing. Okay, look at that. See, it said X switch home tripped and home switch Y tripped and home switch Z tripped. So it did work. Okay. So what I was doing is I was just taking the wire and connecting them to the ground. And they did show the tripped state as I was doing it. But for some reason it's not showing on this screen here. Usually this will light up when they're tripped. I'm not sure why it's not doing that. And at least that happens when I do it in Mach 3. And I'm probably doing something wrong. So